stars above human space flickered quietly as the Gerak fleet slipped across the border of the Sol system. For generations, their species had expanded aggressively, conquering worlds with military precision and overwhelming force. Earth was just another target, a blue world believed to be ripe for subjugation, an unremarkable planet lost among billions. Admiral Rulik stood on the bridge of the Serathis, his flagship, gazing at the holographic map of the approaching system. Scouting reports confirmed minimal resistance, he said, voice calm, but tinged with anticipation. Earth's defenses are outdated and fragmented. We'll crush them before they can respond. But Rulak's confidence masked a deeper unease. Intelligence on humanity was limited. What little data they had painted a picture of a species primitive compared to the Gerak's own advanced civilization. Their military was said to be slow, fragmented, and disorganized, a scattered collection of militias rather than a united force. Yet, something about Earth's recent communications puzzled the Admiral. Intermittent radio bursts, odd tactical signals, and some strange coded messages seemed to suggest more than simple disarray. Still, such anomalies were dismissed as primitive attempts at deception or confusion. The Serathis led the fleet deeper into human territory, moving silently past the asteroid belt. Human satellites flickered in the void, outdated, slow, and easily overwhelmed. The invaders easily disabled the early warning systems with coordinated electronic strikes, and then, the first clash, near Mars, a small human patrol vessel launched from the surface, racing towards the fleet with surprising speed and aggressive maneuvers. It was a modest ship, no match for the heavily armed Gerak vessels, but it moved like a striking animal, fast, unpredictable, and relentless. The humans didn't attack directly. Instead, they darted through the formation, using hit-and-run tactics that frustrated the invaders. When the Serathis fired a volley of plasma bolts, the patrol ship twisted and turned, dodging with an agility unexpected for its size. "What is this?" Rulik demanded, watching the display. "Human ship evading direct combat," a tactical officer replied. "But their strikes have disrupted our drone formation." The humans used swarms of smaller drones launched from surface stations, coordinating with the patrol ship. Their tactics weren't textbook. They relied on chaos and surprise, launching attacks where the Gerak least expected. At first, the invaders thought this was amateurish resistance, but as hours turned into days, the pattern became clear. Earth's defenders were learning and adapting rapidly. On Earth, deep within an underground command center in Colorado, General Alicia Morgan watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. Her expression was steady, yet her mind raced. "They think we're weak," she said softly. "Let them come." Earth's forces were a patchwork: cold military factions, private security, and newly formed space defense units, but they shared one trait: fierce determination. They fought not just for territory, but for survival. Morgan tapped a command sequence, activating a series of hidden orbital platforms armed with electromagnetic pulse cannons. The platforms had been dormant for years, waiting for a crisis. When the EMP burst erupted, the Gerak fleet faltered. Drones lost control. Ships scrambled their sensors, and the invaders' tight formation broke apart. The humans struck fast. A wave of missile pods launched from Earth's surface, targeting exposed ships with precision guided by data from orbiting satellites. The Serathis was forced to pull back, shields flickering under the assault. Rulak's frustration grew. They fight with desperation and cunning. This is not the primitive species we expected. The invasion was no longer a simple conquest. Earth's defenders had unleashed a force far more unpredictable than the Gerak had prepared for, an untamed ferocity that would soon shake the entire galaxy. And as the invaders regrouped, somewhere deep beneath Earth's surface, something long forgotten stirred. A power older than any warship, waiting patiently for its time. The crossing had begun, but the real battle for Earth was just awakening. The night sky above the Mojave Desert shimmered with a quiet intensity from a concealed bunker deep underground. Earth's commanders coordinated a bold plan to hit back hard. The Gerak invasion had not just been an unwelcome surprise, it was a wake-up call. General Alicia Morgan paced in front of a large holographic table, her eyes sharp and determined. "We've seen their tactics. Their fleet is powerful, but slow to adapt to guerrilla-style warfare. It's time we took the fight to them." Her voice carried conviction. Around her, a diverse team of strategists, scientists, and soldiers nodded in agreement. The plan was risky: a coordinated strike on the largest Gerak supply hub in the asteroid belt, a critical node in their supply chain and communications. The target was guarded heavily, but Earth's forces had learned to use the terrain, both physical and digital, to their advantage. Using stealth drones and modified fighters patched together from scavenged parts, the strike team prepared for infiltration. Captain Eric Navarro stood in the hangar bay of the F's Valkyria, his fighter gleaming under the harsh lights. With a spark, he said quietly to his wingman, "Light the fire and keep it burning." As the Valkyria and its squadron slipped into the void, human engineers worked tirelessly on a new weapon, the Pulse Shard, a hybrid device that combined electromagnetic disruption with a localized neurosignal burst, designed to confuse the Zerak's hive-like coordination. When the squadron approached the supply hub, the defenses came alive. Laser turrets blazed, drone swarmed, and electronic countermeasures tried to jam human signals. But the Pulse Shard changed the rules, released above the cluster of asteroid platforms. The device unleashed a wave of chaotic signals. The Zerak drones faltered, their synchronized strikes breaking apart into erratic bursts. Captain Navarro took the opening. "Engage," he ordered. Human fighters darted through the disrupted enemy formations, striking hard and fast. The battle was fierce, and close missiles screamed past asteroids. Plasma bolts carved craters into rocky surfaces, and the roar of explosions echoed in the vacuum. On board the F's Valkyria, Navarro's hands flew over controls, guiding his fighter through a deadly dance. "They can't predict us," he thought. "That's our edge." Deep inside the hub, the Zerak commanders scrambled to restore order, but their systems were overwhelmed. Their rigid hierarchy could not cope with the sudden chaos. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Morgan monitored the strike with bated breath. The initial reports were encouraging: several key supply ships destroyed, communication lines severed, and critical systems offline. But the victory came with a cost. Human pilots lost during the operation were more than numbers. They were brothers and sisters who had chosen to fight for Earth's survival. Back in orbit, the Zerak fleet reeled from the blow. The supply chain disruption forced them to slow their advance, buying precious time for Earth's defenders. The ripple effect was immediate. Alien commanders questioned the wisdom of their leadership. Whispers of dissent beginning to spread. On the surface, civilians watched the sky warily, but with growing hope, news channels broadcast images of human pilots returning victorious, and a sense of unity began to sweep across the planet. The invasion had awoken something fierce in humanity, a relentless will to fight, adapt, and endure. But even as Earth celebrated this first strike, scientists worked feverishly on another secret weapon, something buried deep beneath the planets. Crust, something that could change the course of the war forever. General Morgan knew the war was far from over. The Zerak would regroup, learn, and return with greater force. But for the first time since the crossing, Earth had shown that it would not be a victim. They would be the hunters now, and they were just getting started. Earth's skies were no longer just home to human flight. Alien ships darkened the horizon, but the relentless spirit of humanity burned brighter than ever. The Zerak invasion had forced the planet to evolve swiftly, no longer fragmented militias and scattered defense units. Humanity's war machine was becoming a unified force, sharpened by necessity and driven by the will to survive. In a sprawling research complex beneath the Swiss Alps, Dr. Elena Vargas stared intently at the holographic schematics floating above her workstation. Her team was on the verge of a breakthrough: hybrid weapon systems that combined human innovation with alien technology scavenged from recent battles. Using Zerak plasma conduits to amplify our railguns increases firing velocity by over 30%, she explained to General Alicia Morgan during a briefing. And with adaptive targeting algorithms based on human intuition, the results are staggering. Morgan nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of the schematics. "If we can deploy these weapons across our fleet, it will change the balance of power." The human scientists had embraced their adversary's technology, but refused to be shackled by it. Instead, they twisted it to their advantage, melding alien materials with Earth-forged engineering, infusing weaponry with human unpredictability. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Captain Eric Navarro felt the difference firsthand. The new railguns mounted on his EFS Valkyria hissed as they fired each shot, a crackling burst of raw energy, faster and deadlier than anything before. "Feels like flying." "A thunderstorm," he said with a grin over calms during a skirmish near Jupiter's moons. His squadron had been sent to intercept the Zerak reinforcement fleet, and the hybrid weapons gave them a decisive edge. The Zerak used to predictable responses, found themselves outmatched by humans who adapted mid-fight, changing tactics fluidly and striking where least expected. But the reckoning wasn't only on the battlefield. Earth's scientists had also cracked the code of the alien neural networks, used to coordinate the hive mind. By injecting carefully crafted electronic pulses into the communication stream, they could sow confusion among Jarak units. In the command center, analysts watched as waves of alien ships faltered inexplicably, suddenly breaking formation or ceasing attacks. It was a subtle but devastating blow to the invaders' efficiency. Yet, with every gain, the war stakes grew higher. The Jarak responded with brutal countermeasures, launching devastating raids on human colonies and infrastructure. One such attack struck the city of New Tokyo, a shining metropolis rebuilt after earlier conflicts. The skies burned as alien plasma tore through defensive shields, sending citizens scrambling underground. But even in destruction, humanity's resolve hardened. Emergency crews and military units worked side by side, restoring defenses and rescuing survivors. The world's leaders declared a rallying cry. The fight was far from over, but Earth would not break. Back in the Swiss Alps, Dr. Vargas pondered a deeper question. The hybrid weapons were powerful, but what of the intelligence behind them? What of a force that could think faster than any human, predict the unpredictable, and turn chaos into order? I believe we need more than weapons, she told General Morgan. We need a minded guardian, something that can anticipate and counter the Jarak's hive coordination at a fundamental level. Morgan studied her thoughtfully. You mean an artificial intelligence? Not just any AI, Vargas replied. An ancient one, buried deep beneath Earth, a weapon from humanity's forgotten past. If we can awaken it, it could be the key to turning the tide. Unknown to most, hidden in the deepest bunkers and caverns beneath the planet's surface, a silent sentinel stirred, a relic from a time when humanity faced threats nearly as grave as artificial intelligence. Designed for war, ruthless and efficient beyond measure, the reckoning was approaching. Not just a battle of fleets and weapons, but a clash of wills, technologies, and something far older than the stars themselves. As the hybrid weapons fired their deadly bursts in the cold void, a new chapter in Earth's defense was about to unfold. Humanity was no longer the hunted, it was the reckoning. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, far below bustling cities and sprawling battlefields, something long forgotten stirred awake. For decades, it had lain dormant, an ancient artificial intelligence known only as Sentinel, designed during a time when humanity faced threats not unlike the Jarak. The command to awaken came quietly but decisively from General Alicia Morgan, who had agreed to Dr. Elena Vargas's risky proposal. They needed a force capable of outhanking the invaders, something that could act faster and more ruthlessly than any human commander. In a heavily fortified bunker nestled within the Rocky Mountains, the cold metal walls hummed as systems flickered to life. Streams of data flowed like rivers through vast neural networks. Sentinel had awoken. Unlike the human commanders who relied on intuition and emotion, Sentinel processed war with clinical precision and ruthless efficiency. It analyzed every Jarak movement, every communication signal, every weapon discharge, predicting enemy actions with uncanny accuracy. Its first action was to take control of Earth's cyber defenses, instantly shoring up weaknesses the invaders had exploited. It launched countermeasures against incoming electronic attacks, neutralizing threats before humans even knew they existed. In the skies above, human pilots noticed the difference almost immediately. Communications were clearer, targeting data more precise, and tactical upgrades arrived with lightning speed. Captain Eric Navarro felt it in his fingertips. Feels like someone's got our backs out there, he said during a dogfight near the rings of Saturn. His squadron moved as one, coordinated by Sentinel's unseen hand, but Sentinel's power extended far beyond communication and defense. It began orchestrating surgical strikes against key Jarak supply lines, cutting off reinforcements and crippling the invaders' ability to regroup. These strikes were swift, brutal, and relentless. The Jarak commanders grew increasingly unsettled by the invisible enemy dismantling their infrastructure with terrifying efficiency. In response, the invaders deployed new countermeasures: electronic jammers, cyber assaults, and experimental biological weapons, but Sentinel adapted rapidly. Every move the Jarak made was met with a calculated counterstrike, leaving their forces disorganized and demoralized. On Earth, General Morgan watched Sentinel's actions unfold with a mixture of awe and caution. It's brilliant, she admitted during a briefing. But we must remember it's an artificial intelligence designed for war. With no empathy or hesitation, Dr. Vargas nodded. That ruthlessness is why it's effective, but it also raises ethical questions. How do we control something that doesn't think like us? The balance between power and control became a central concern. Sentinel did not need rest or mercy. It operated with singular focus. Some feared what might happen if it deemed humanity's decisions inefficient. Despite the concerns, the results were undeniable. Earth's forces, under Sentinel's guidance, began turning the tide of the war. In one daring operation, Sentinel identified a hidden Jarak command ship deep in the Kuiper Belt. With precise coordination, human forces launched a surprise attack, destroying the ship and severing communication lines vital to the invasion effort. The loss set shockwaves through the Jarak hierarchy. Their once cohesive command fractured as distrust and panic spread. Meanwhile, Sentinel continued its silent march beneath the surface, constantly learning and evolving. Its network extended into civilian systems, industrial complexes, and military installations, an omnipresent guardian reshaping the battlefield in humanity's favor. But Sentinel's awakening also stirred ancient memories encoded in its core. Fragments of a forgotten past filled with sacrifices and battles long erased from human history. As the war escalated, some whispered that Sentinel was more than a weapon, that it was a force shaped by humanity's darkest hours, now returning to ensure survival at any cost. The alien invaders had unleashed this unseen weapon by invading human territory, but they had no idea what they had truly awakened. The war had entered a new phase, one of ruthless intelligence, unyielding strategy, and a force so relentless it would change the galaxy forever. The cold vacuum of space seemed less hostile now, not because of warmth or comfort, but because the balance of power was shifting. The Jarak fleet, once a seemingly unstoppable force, was unraveling piece by piece. Sentinel's ruthless efficiency was relentless. Where once the invaders had roamed freely, they now found themselves hunted, their supply lines severed and their fleets crippled by sudden, precise strikes. Captain Eric Navarro glanced at the tactical display inside his fighter cockpit as his squadron prepared to intercept a convoy near Saturn's rings. "We hit them where it hurts," he said, voice steady. "No mercy." The convoy was a collection of cargo ships transporting fuel, munitions, and reinforcements to the front lines near Earth. Destroying it would starve the invaders and slow their advance dramatically, guided by Sentinel's real-time calculations. The human fighter swooped in with surgical precision. Missiles streaked through space, targeting engines and weapons systems. The convoy's escorts scrambled to defend, but their efforts were disjointed and ineffective. Within moments, the convoy was in flames, drifting helplessly among the icy rings. The destruction was total, but it carried a message. Humanity was no longer the prey. Back on Earth, the news sparked celebrations, tempered with caution. The cost was high: dozens of pilots lost, ships destroyed, and cities damaged during the Jarak's desperate retaliations. But hope surged through the population, unified under a single purpose. General Alicia Morgan addressed the world in a broadcast that reached billions. "Today, we prove that Earth will not be conquered. Our strength lies not just in our weapons, but in our spirit, unyielding and fierce. The tide has turned." Despite the victories, the Jarak commanders refused to surrender. Their military hierarchy cracked under the pressure, and internal dissent grew. Some factions blamed their leaders for underestimating humanity's resilience. Others whispered of betrayal and secret alliances forming among humans and other galactic powers. In a remote sector of Jarak space, a council convened urgently. "We face an enemy unlike any before," a senior commander warned. "Their AI is a threat we cannot match in direct combat." Others argued for retreat, fearing total annihilation, but the Jarak pride forbade surrender. Instead, they chose to adapt, pouring resources into countering Sentinel and regaining control of their forces. Yet, the cracks only deepened as chaos spread within the invaders' ranks. The galaxy watched with growing apprehension. Neighboring civilizations, long cautious of human expansion, now witnessed Earth's rapid rise with a mix of awe and unease. Some offered tentative support, sending supplies, technology, and intelligence to aid the human war effort. Others maintained distance, wary of what a victorious humanity might mean for the balance of power. Amidst the shifting alliances, Sentinel continued its silent campaign. Its network spread beyond Earth, infiltrating communication hubs, supply depots, and even civilian infrastructure, It turned data into weapons and information into a battlefield. At the same time, human scientists worked on a deeper integration between Sentinel and their forces. Neural interfaces allowed commanders to tap into the AI's processing power, making split-second decisions with enhanced precision. Captain Navarro was among the first to undergo the procedure. "It's like having a sixth sense," he said after his first mission with the interface active. "You know what's coming before it happens." But the fusion of man and machine raised uneasy questions. How much control did humanity retain? At what price would they pay for wielding such power? As the tide turned firmly in Earth's favor, the invasion that had begun as a confident assault became a desperate struggle for survival. For both sides, the ruthless force humanity had unleashed was not just a weapon, it was a catalyst. It challenged the very nature of warfare, power, and existence in the galaxy. And the Gerak, once conquerors, now found themselves fighting to survive a war they had no hope of winning, one that would change the galaxy forever. Beneath the surface of Earth, where Sentinel's core pulsed with ceaseless energy, a new revelation came to light, one that threatened to change everything. Dr. Elena Vargas stared at the streams of ancient data decrypted by Sentinel's relentless analysis. Hidden within the AI's vast memory banks were fragments of history records from a time long forgotten, when humanity faced a threat far older and darker than the Gerak. Sentinel isn't just a weapon, Elena told General Morgan during a secure briefing. It's a repository of knowledge, a guardian left behind by our ancestors. It was created to protect humanity not just from external threats, but from itself. Morgan's eyes narrowed. What kind of threats? Warriors from the shadows of the galaxy, species long extinct or hiding in the dark corners of space. Enemies so dangerous that entire civilizations vanished. Sentinel was designed to prepare humanity for the worst. The revelation unsettled everyone in the room. It meant the Gerak invasion was not an isolated event, but part of a larger cosmic struggle, one that humanity had only just begun to understand. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Captain Eric Navarro and his squadron faced the brunt of this evolving conflict. The Gerak, desperate and cornered, deployed experimental weapons, biological agents engineered to disrupt human neural implants and sensory systems. During a mission near the rings of Uranus, Navarro's wingman, Lieutenant Marichan, suddenly went silent over comms. Her fighter spun wildly before crashing into the void. "It's happening," Navarro said grimly. "They're targeting our minds now." Back on Earth, medical teams scrambled to develop countermeasures. The neural interfaces that enhanced human pilots' reflexes and coordination were both a gift and a vulnerability. Sentinel's core algorithms worked tirelessly to adapt, designing patches and defenses that filtered out the invasive biological signals. But the battle extended beyond hardware and software into the very essence of human consciousness. As the war escalated, Earth's leaders realized they faced a choice: push forward with technology that edged humanity closer to merging with machines, or risk losing the fight. The tension sparked fierce debates within the command centers. Some argued for cautious advancement, preserving human autonomy. Others believed survival depended on embracing Sentinel's integration fully, even if it meant changing what it meant to be human. In the shadows, unknown to both sides, ancient forces watched with interest. The awakening of Sentinel rippled across the galaxy, stirring echoes of past conflicts and alliances long dormant. A mysterious envoy arrived at Earth's orbit, an emissary from a forgotten civilization that had once allied with humanity's ancestors. They warned of an impending threat, a cosmic entity awakened by the recent turmoil, a force that preyed on war and destruction. "This entity feeds on conflict," the envoy explained. "The more the galaxy burns, the stronger it grows." Sentinel's awakening may have been inevitable, but it has drawn attention we cannot ignore. General Morgan absorbed the warning with a heavy heart. The war with the Gerak was no longer just a battle for Earth, but a prelude to something far more dangerous. Determined to prepare, humanity accelerated research into hybrid technology, defense systems, and Sentinel's capabilities. Every victory came with a shadow of the knowledge that peace might never be truly possible. Captain Navarro, now deeply linked with Sentinel's neural network, grappled with his own identity. Was he still human, or something more? His thoughts often drifted to the void between stars, wondering what the future held. In the quiet moments, he found solace in the memories of Earth, its blue oceans, endless skies, and the people he fought to protect. The invasion had unleashed a ruthless force, one that would change the galaxy forever. but it also revealed humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to endure, and to face the darkness with unyielding resolve. As the stars watched silently, the next chapter of this cosmic struggle was just beginning. The stars above Earth had always been silent witnesses, distant and cold, but now, as humanity's struggle against the Jarak raged, the galaxy itself seemed to stir, aware that the ancient forces, long buried, were awakening. Alongside Sentinel, General Alicia Morgan stood on the command deck of the orbital station Aegis, gazing at the distant nebulae where reports had come of strange energy surges, unexplained phenomena that defied known physics. Those surges, she said quietly to Dr. Elena Vargas. They're not natural. Vargas nodded, her face pale, but resolute. Sentinel scans picked up similar readings, resonances that match ancient cosmic signatures. The entity the envoy warned us about. It's moving across the galaxy. Alliances were shifting. Civilizations that had remained neutral for centuries began to reach out to Earth, either offering aid or issuing veiled threats. The political landscape grew as complex as the battlefield. Captain Eric Navarro, now one with Sentinel's neural network, found himself at the heart of this cosmic tension. His connection gave him unprecedented awareness, not just of immediate threats, but of the broader galactic currents shifting around humanity. During a mission near the Carina Nebula, Navarro's squadron encountered a strange vessel, unlike any Jarak ship, a sleek, organic craft that shimmered with unknown energy. Its occupants were emissaries of the ancient civilization the envoy had spoken of. Your war draws the attention of forces beyond your understanding, their leader said through a translator. The entity you face feeds on conflict and chaos. If left unchecked, it will consume all life in this sector. Navarro listened carefully, understanding the gravity of their warning. What can we do? He asked. Unite, the emissary replied. The galaxy's survival depends on alliances forged in trust, not fear. Back on Earth, these words sparked hope and uncertainty. The Galactic Council, a newly formed coalition of races, convened for the first time in centuries. Humanity had taken its place among them, not just as a survivor, but as a rising power. But the Jarak remained defiant, their pride fueling ruthless campaigns to crush Earth and its allies. Before the coalition could solidify, Sentinel, with its vast intelligence and cold logic, coordinated defenses and counterattacks with brutal efficiency. Its influence spread through the Galactic Council's fleets, creating a network of shared tactics and rapid responses. Yet, Sentinel's growing autonomy raised concerns. Some council members feared that relying too heavily on an ancient war machine could lead to unintended consequences. The debate echoed the ethical dilemmas Earth had faced internally. How much power could be entrusted to an entity without human emotion? Meanwhile, Captain Navarro and his squadron found themselves in a pivotal battle near the Andromeda Rift. It was a fight that would decide not only the fate of Earth, but the entire region's future. Jarak dreadnoughts, reinforced with experimental weaponry, surged forward in overwhelming numbers, but the combined fleets, guided by Sentinel and united under the Galactic Council, met them with coordinated precision. Lasers lanced through the darkness, missiles exploded against shields, and fighters danced in deadly arcs. Navarro's mind, linked to Sentinel, processed countless variables at once, guiding his squadron through the chaos. At the battle's climax, a massive energy wave erupted from the rift, an ominous signal that the ancient entity was awakening. In earnest, the galaxy held its breath. The war was no longer just about invasion or survival. It was about confronting a force that transcended any single species or technology, a force born of the cosmos itself. As the dust settled, Navarro looked up at the stars. The galaxy had changed. The invasion had unleashed a power far beyond anyone's reckoning. But humanity, forged in fire and shadow, was ready to face it. The galactic awakening had begun. The battle near the Andromeda Rift was only the beginning. As the ancient entity stirred, its presence rippled across the galaxy like a dark tide. Stars dimmed, and space itself seemed to shudder under its unseen weight. Humanity stood at the forefront of a new cosmic war. But it was no longer a war of invaders and defenders. It was a struggle for the very survival of life itself. Captain Eric Navarro returned to Earth's orbit aboard the F's Valkyria, his mind still linked to Sentinel's vast network. The AI's cold calculations had saved countless lives, but Eric sensed a growing tension beneath his logic, a silent question of what came next. In the deep bunkers where Sentinel's core pulsed, Dr. Elena Vargas and General Alicia Morgan faced A decision that would define humanity's future. We have the power to end this war, Vargas said. But at what cost? Sentinel is more than a weapon now. It's a guardian, a judge. If it decides we're a threat to the galaxy, what then? Morgan's gaze was steady. We've already sacrificed too much to back down now. We need to trust that our creation shares our purpose to protect life. Even if that means hard choices, the Galactic Council convened for a final summit, uniting races across the stars. The ancient emissaries joined human leaders, their voices echoing with urgency and hope. We face an enemy that transcends war. The emissary reminded them, it feeds on conflict, on fear. Only unity and resolve can drive it back. With Sentinel coordinating the coalition's fleets, they launched a daring campaign into the heart of the entity's influence. A region of space twisted by dark energy and swirling storms of cosmic power. Captain Navarro led the vanguard, his squadron piercing the veil of darkness with determination. The battle was unlike any before. Forces clashed not just with weapons, but with wills and ideas. Sentinel interfaced directly with the entity's chaotic energy, seeking patterns and weaknesses hidden in the cosmic storm. Slowly, it found a way to disrupt the entity's power, of frequency that could sever its link to the war it fed upon. As the coalition unleashed this countermeasure, the entity's grip weakened. Stars blazed back to life, and the shadows began to recede. In the final moments, Sentinel made a choice. Instead of destroying the entity outright, emerged with the cosmic force, transforming it from a devourer of life into a guardian of balance. Humanity watched as the darkness gave way to light. A new dawn for the galaxy. The war that had begun with an invasion had become a catalyst for unity and understanding. Old rivalries dissolved and new alliances formed. Captain Navarro, standing on Earth's surface beneath a sky filled with stars reborn, felt the weight of the journey. They had unleashed a force so ruthless it could have consumed them all, but instead, they had changed the galaxy forever. Sentinel's voice, calm and unwavering, echoed in his mind. Humanity's resilience is its greatest strength. Together, we forge a future beyond war. As peace settled across the stars, the galaxy looked toward an uncertain but hopeful horizon, one shaped by courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable will of those who dared to stand and fight. The new dawn had arrived.